We move on. Arizona Cardinals at Tennessee Titans. This one is a beauty. Nissan Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee, 85 Fahrenheit, sunny, 9 miles per hour. And the over is talking to me here. The over is talking to me, and I want to break it down with everybody and see if it's a move that I should attack here. It opened up at 51. It's 52 across the board. I do not think that's too high, and we know that these defenses are not strong. And Arizona's defense, while possibly vastly improved, could not stop the run last year. The Tennessee Titans opened up at -2.5. They're now -3. And from a cash flow situation here, we have – sorry, let me pull this up. 13,694 tickets in. 63% of the spread tickets, 60% of the cash on the Titans. And the move from 2.5 to 3. And then we see 41% of tickets on the under and 72% of cash on the under. And that was a red flag. That was a red flag for me. Cash action bets looking at Tennessee -3 here. We'll start with the Cardinals last year, 8-8. Kingsbury in year 3. Vance Joseph in year 3. And Kingsbury also the offensive coordinator. They bring in A.J. Green and James Conner, Rondale Moore. They draft number 2, 49th overall to Purdue. They bring in Rodney Hudson, 3-time Pro Bowler out of the Raiders. J.J. Watt comes in from the Texans. And Zaven Collins, round 1, number 16th overall out of Tulsa. And we saw what Tulsa looked like without the giant Zaven Collins in the middle, 6'5", 259-pounder. They lose Larry Fitzgerald, we expect. Kenyon Drake, running back to the Raiders, and Patrick Peterson over to the Vikings, but he was getting worse as every game went on. So can Arizona stop the run? That's the question. They closed last season losing 5 of 7. They didn't look good when push came to shove. When they had to win games, they didn't look good. Kyler Murray and Kingsbury together now 13, 18, and 1. The air raid offense is supposed to be a pass-heavy offense, and Kyler Murray's so capable with his feet that they only threw the ball 55.8% of the time in 2020, and that is not an air raid offense. You expect at least 75%. Kyle Murray, second among quarterbacks in rushing yards and touchdowns, and of the 28 quarterbacks with 30-plus TD passes since he entered the league, his TD to interception ratio is 20th. They bring in A.J. Green, Rondale Moore. Look, that's going to help. Now, Keyshawn Johnson and Andy Isabella are down the depth chart, but they're both very strong. You got DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green. A.J. Green's got a lot to prove now after the last couple of years. You know,
last couple, it's been like 4.
Sure, 4. That's 12 Pro Bowl appearances and 8 All-Pro selections there. And you got Rondale Moore and Christian Kirk on the inside. This looks dangerous. You have Chase Edmonds as the 5'9", 210-pounder, and now you have Connor as the 6'1", 233-pounder. Is Connor capable of playing like he did in 2018? I'm not sure. They bring in Rodney Hudson. That is a big pickup. That front 7 last year was so good, and they did that all without Chandler Jones. Hassan Reddick, who's now no longer with them, was excellent. Now Reddick's moved on to Carolina, but what they got out of Gardeck was a big surprise. Buda Baker, Zaven Collins down in the middle of the defense. Jordan Phillips, they re-signed Marcus Golden. What are your thoughts on this Arizona Cardinal squad from a future standpoint, and what do you think of them week 1?
Well, I'm not as high on them as everyone else is. I see the big flashy signings in J.J. Watt and A.J. Green, but listen, those guys were huge signings 4 years ago. A.J. Green has not had a healthy season in ages. And these are both players I love. Like, I am rooting for them to come back. I want them to play well, but it's been ages since we've seen either of these guys be what they used to be. I'm less excited about A.J. Green. I'm reading here that in camp he's playing well. Well, nobody says anything bad about their players in camp. It's very rare. I don't put any faith into that. As far as J.J. Watt goes, look, J.J. Watt played a full 16 games last year for the first time in years. He has never played a full 16 games 2 seasons in a row. In fact, anytime he's played a full 16-game season, he's finished the next season on injured reserve. So let's not get excited about that. Let's also not get excited about Cliff Kingsbury's air raid offense. We've been waiting to hear about it. It's year 3. He keeps loading up on receivers. None of that ever comes to fruition. Also, it never did when he was a college coach. Do you want to know the last time he's had a winning record? He was 8-5 with Patrick Mahomes as a starting quarterback. That's the last time this guy's had a winning record, let alone been dominant, which 8-5 with Pat Mahomes in college is not dominant. This guy is the most overhyped coach in the NFL. I'll be surprised if he has a job at the end of the season. Count me early as one of the people who do not believe in the Arizona Cardinal hype.
That was a great breakdown, Bebsie. Dennis Garcia says Tennessee added an old, oft-injured Jones, and now everyone thinks they're good. Arizona also added a bunch of old guys who aren't any good anymore. Hope one looks really good. I look forward to fading them both. That's from Dennis Garcia. And Jordy Nordman joining us. Great to see you, Jordy. Okay, so great breakdown there on the Cardinals. Fascinating. Now let's move on to the Titans. Vrabel in year 4 with new coordinators, new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, Todd Downing on offense, Shane Bowen on defense. They bring in Julio Jones. They bring in Josh Reynolds, Dez Fitzpatrick, round 4, number 109 out of Louisville, 6'2", 210-pounder. Dylan Radune's the offensive tackle of North Dakota State, and Bud Dupree, a supposedly healthy Bud Dupree. Key losses, Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, Adam Humphries. Vrabel has been excellent. He's been very good. 29-19. Get to the AFC title game. Beat Brady and Belichick when they were together. Derrick Henry's an absolute monster. We know that. 2,027 yards, third consecutive campaign with more than 1,000 yards, and he's just 27. But you do worry with 380 carries over his last. So back-to-back 380-plus carries. That's including playoffs. If that could catch up to him. A third-round pick, Darrington Evans, had hamstring issues. He's expected to be explosive this year. They lose Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, Adam Humphries, Khalif Raymond. Julio Jones is expected to help take the pressure off of A.J. Brown. They bring in Josh Reynolds, Anthony Firkser. Taylor Lewin played 5 games to an ACL injury. We also remember his distinguished career take a hit in 2019 because of the banned substances. Roger Saffold is being excellent at left guard. Ben Jones at center. Nate Davis looked very good, so the offensive line is tough. Defensively, Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson, Kenny Vaccaro are all gone. Janoris Jenkins, 33. Caleb Farley drafted in the first round of the Virginia Tech. Bud Dupree should help in a big way if he is healthy and ready to go. But last year, this defense was bad. Bad. Is it going to be improved this year? And with your feelings on the Cardinals, will you be betting these Titans?
Well, I'll get that out of the way. Yes, I will be betting the Titans, and it's mostly because I really believe in the Titans and I don't believe in the Cardinals. And I do think the Titans are going to be another team that's, fighting for that AFC championship. Whereas I think the Cardinals, until they show me otherwise, they're an 8-8 team. I do think overall, Bud Dupree should help this defense. I hope that they are trending in the right direction as I am backing them. But I just think offensively, they're a juggernaut. They were a juggernaut before, and they've added Julio Jones. And Julio Jones doesn't have to be the guy. He's the third guy right now. It's Derrick Henry first, and A.J. Brown is an absolute stud. And, Julio can only help if he stays healthy. He's been mostly healthy. He's played through some injuries, but he hasn't missed a ton of games. Yes, he did last year, but throughout his career, he has been mostly healthy. I do agree that at this age, this stage in his career, that could be a bit of a problem. But, he's there week 1, and this team is a monster on offense, and I don't see the Arizona Cardinals being able to slow them down. I like Zaven Collins. I think he was a bit overdrafted, but I do like him. I think they'll finally have some good linebacking core, especially if Isaiah Simmons keeps stepping it up. But I don't have a ton of faith in that front seven overall, and I don't have a ton of faith that they'll be able to slow this team down. So, yes, I am taking Tennessee Titans this week. I do think that this is one of the easier matchups to look at.
Ooh-wee. The first bet of the young season from our Rob Bebenek. The Titans -3. The best line available is at Pinnacle at +102. Look at that. We are on the board, Bebsie. On the board. I know we got to rush, but we should celebrate your first bet. So, Bebsie's on the board. May this season be glorious, full of cash for you. Titans -3 +102.
I didn't like being left out of your straight rum, so I got on the straight whiskey.
As you should. We move on. Bebsie is on the board. Burgundy Bet says, any chance this gets to -2.5? Let's take another look at the cash flow here. And we have just under 14,000 tickets in. And no, we've got reverse line movement here at its peak. So we have a situation here where no, I do not see a 2.5. Big Guy Bubba says Titans cover this game with turnovers and run game. I don't like it. Not against Murray.